Hey guys, it's Amber from the WoW Creative team, and today I'm playing with Melted to create three-dimensional elements for my cards. I'll be mixing it with the WoW Changers, with primary translucent powders, and also some glitter. Let's get started. I'll introduce the products first, but if you want to get right to creating, go to 1 minute 33 seconds. Here I have a jar of the melted powder. It comes in a 160 ml jar as opposed to the 15 ml jar of the regular embossing powders. It's super finely milled and it melts and heats faster than any other embossing enamel and embossing powder. Here are the WoW Changers, and there's 3 different textures that you can use as additives. So these are also extenders. So this is the texture. We also have Sheen and Glisten. Glisten is going to add a glitter to your embossing powder. Sheen is going to add more of a pearlized finish, whereas texture is going to add texture. It's going to have a grainy and rough appearance once you emboss it. And you can add these to any of your embossing powders to change up the look. It'll lighten the color slightly and then add the unique finish to them. You also get 3 empty jars with the Changers kit, which you can see I've already used. I'll also be using primary purple Orchid and primary Chartreuse in my cards today. Here I have the Tonic Nuvo spoon, craft spoon here, and the WoW melted foil case, and a silicone candy mold. Now this one I just got online, but you can get the same one at Michael's and it's in a pretty teal color. So if you like teal more, I'd just recommend getting it from there. If I can find the link, I'll link it down below. And I'm working on a glass mat. Underneath my glass mat is a silicone stamping mat. So I'll take 2 scoops of the melted powder. And again, this is a super fine powder that melts really quickly. And then I'll add 2 scoops of the primary purple Orchid embossing powder. This is a translucent embossing powder. There's no other additives to it, so it doesn't have any kind of texture or anything like that. It's just plain translucent. Up in the right hand corner, I'll link to my chameleon heat embossing video where I play with translucent powders and ombre backgrounds so that you can kind of get a color change effect. Here I'm going to add Changers Glisten. Now this is the one that's going to add glitter to your project. This is by far my favorite of the Changers. I never really thought I was a glitter person until I joined the WoW team, and I can't stop using glitter, you guys. Like, I love the glitter. It's crazy. So I wanted to add glitter to this. So I just mixed the powders together and I'm just going to shake it down to the bottom so that I can kind of melt it all in one place. Now this is my first time using Melteds, and so I thought I would share that with you on video. So I just kind of guessed how much powder I would need in order to fill a couple of these letters. And we'll go ahead and try this out, and then as I'm going through, I'll share some tips and techniques of kind of what I learned along the way that makes it a little bit easier. So I'm just going to crimp the foil bowl there just a little bit so that I have a spout, and it starts to harden pretty quickly. So I learned pretty quickly that if you keep the heat on it while you're pouring, you get a better pour. And obviously I've totally overfilled this. So I go to use a palette knife here. Now this is just a plastic palette knife. If you have a metal one, I would recommend that over the plastic one. I'll show you why a little bit later. So I'm just going to take the heat directly to the mold here, and I'm holding it maybe about 4 inches away. I'm going to start melting this a little bit just so that I can get it moving, because obviously I've overfilled it and I need to scrape some of that away. So once it's melted, I'm just going to scrape it away. And because this is silicone mold, all of that extra stuff, once it dries, you guys, just peels right off without any issue. So I'll show you that in a minute too. And I'm sorry for the light changing outside. We're in the middle of renovating our downstairs, and so I don't have any window treatments on right now. So it's a little bit of a struggle, but I think you can still see what's going on just fine. So this is all dried, and I'm now going to pop this out. Because this is silicone, it pops out so easily. You just push it through the back, and you can see, well, you can't see because I'm out of frame. Okay, now you can see. So there were a couple little stragglers like little pieces stuck to it that I just peeled right off, no issues. You can see all the beautiful glitter in there, and when I hold it to the side, you can see the thickness of it. I'll show you that later in comparison to my popped up sentiments. It's really about the same height. So here I moved on to the next color. So this was the same concentration of the Melteds. Instead of primary Orchid, I used primary Chartreuse. And then I used the Sheen changers instead of the Glisten, so it would be more pearlized versus glitter. And I'm just going to spread this around so you can see I'm getting a little more used to how this works. Now, because the P and the A have that hole in the center of the letter, I kind of want to dig a little bit of that out so that I don't have to cut that out. So you can see me take my craft knife here and I'm just kind of spreading the embossing away from that and thinning it out right over the dot in the A and the P. That's going to make it easier once this dries and I pop it out, I don't want it too thick in that area because otherwise I'll have to take a craft knife and actually cut that out. So here I'll pop these out and you can see the silicone mold kind of looks like a hot mess with all the extra stuff around, but again, it just peels right off. So this one you can see I have some little extras, those peel off really easily. And then in the center of the P and the A, there's just a little bit of the extra stuff. So I'm just going to take a craft knife. You want to be really gentle and easy when you do that. Point the knife away from you instead of towards you like I did. But just use that to get those little extras out. Now this line of molds also has the full alphabet in one sheet, but the one thing I really like about this mold is that it spells out happy birthday. So you have multiple letters. You have all the letters that you need and you don't just have to use the same P mold over and over. It just makes it a little faster. So here you can see the difference between the Glisten and that glitter on the purple letters and the Sheen, which is more of that pearlized finish on the green letters. Almost looks like a jade finish. It's really cool. I really love that one. So now I'm going to switch over, and here's another light change. Sorry about that. I'm going to switch over to 6 scoops of the melted powder because I want to make 3 hearts. You can see that there's some hearts in this mold. And this time I'm going to use the Earth Sparkles. So Earth Sparkles are the eco-friendly line of glitters that WOW has. They also have regular glitters, so you can use either of those. Now, I kind of use the same ratio, but I think this might be over glittered. I think that you could have gotten away with just 1 or 2 scoops of the glitter. The hearts end up being super, super dark. And I think if I had used less glitter, they would have been a little bit brighter and cheerier. So I think that that's what I would recommend if I were to do this again, is use less glitter. Or maybe not use the embossing powder that I added. I'm not sure. I just have to play around with it. So I'm just mixing that together and I'll tap that down to the bottom again. Or not. I guess I don't. I just heat it like this. That's a little strange. So because I didn't tap it all the way down to the bottom before melting it, I'm now going to have to kind of melt it and get it to move its way down to the bottom. And you can see it's kind of bubbling a little bit as I do that. I think because I'm having to apply more heat because I didn't tap it down to the bottom. So I'll go ahead and fill these 3 heart molds and I'll keep the heat on it to keep the mixture flowing as I'm trying to pour it into the molds. And if you don't have tweezers, maybe use a clothespin or something else. This foil case is metal, so it is going to conduct some heat. So you do want to make sure that you use your safety precautions. So I have them here. I really like the one on the right. The 2 on the left are a little disfigured. And so what I'm going to do is just pop those back into the foil tin, melt those down again from the heart into a liquid, and just remold those. It's very similar to wax seals. If you don't like how your wax seal came out, you can just throw it back into the spoon and remelt that as well. And these remelt perfectly. And so after I'm done molding these, I'll go ahead and make some just really simple cards. So I just took some Simon Says Stamp reverse sentiment strips, cut those up. I glued these on with some art glitter glue, and just look at the sparkle in those. You can really see not only the purple glitter, but it's a mixture of purple and teal glitter in this anemone eco sparkle, and I think it's so pretty. So here's our happy birthday, and I just turned them into some balloons with just some simple hand-drawn lines. And I think they're just really cute, you guys. Now, you can do a lot of things with these. You don't have to put them on your cards. I'm going to show you how it's pretty much the same height as the sentiment strip when it's popped up. So that gives you an idea of how much dimension is there. And I can totally see these letters as cupcake toppers. The letters are pretty hard themselves, so you wouldn't just be able to push a toothpick right into it. You might have to maybe heat up a needle first and stick that into the letter to kind of melt a tiny little hole and then put the toothpick in it. Definitely there's probably other ways that you could add the little sticks for toppers. I'll leave that up to you guys, but that's one idea. I've seen people use the melteds for jewelry pendants or for rings. Lots of people use them in their mixed media. So there's a lot of different applications that you can use this for other than your cards. I hope you guys enjoyed this project today and my first go around with the melteds. It's definitely something I want to explore a little bit more. I have links to my blog post and the supplies down below, as well as a 10% discount code, so be sure to check that out. Thanks so much for joining me today.